What's up, everybody? Adam here with eTrailer. Today we have a 1993 Dodge Ram 250, and we're going to be taking a look at the B&W Turnoverball Underbed Gooseneck trailer hitch. So this is going to be a definite upgrade from this thing that our customer had on there, but it's also going to be a upgrade from some of the nicer ones that you can put in your truck. Why? Well, this can be a gooseneck, but you can also get the B&W Companion and make it into a fifth wheel as well. Another cool thing about it, we can put this like this, and we can have full bed access. This is something that's kind of unique, and it really is something that's gonna allow your truck to do more. Trucks are meant to do work, and now all you have to do is install it one time, and you can either do gooseneck or a fifth wheel. So I did not cut this hole. This was the hole that was cut for the ugly gooseneck that we replaced it with. So you will have just a simple hole like this. You won't have all this grossness. So just know that it's gonna look a lot prettier on your truck. One thing I like about this is it doesn't have a round trailer ball. The trailer ball is going to have like a little tiny little handle so you can lift that up. But it is square, zinc coated, so it's extra strong. And it's really easy to kind of lift this thing up. But this thing is very, very heavy duty. And I do like the finish to it. It looks really great. And another thing about it is you do have, of course, just our simple safety chain loops. And one thing about the ball, it is a 2 5/16. And when it comes to weight capacity, we are going to have a capacity of about 30,000 pounds. And it is going to have a vertical load limit of 7,500 pounds. This is a B&W. It's my favorite, and everybody at the shop likes it too. It's high quality stuff. And it really is also y'all's favorite as well. So don't just take my word for it or anybody here, which we install the stuff every day, but it is literally the most popular on our website. Here is the latch. It's gonna be on our driver's side. So whenever we pull this in, right now it's unlocked, we're gonna slide it over and it's gonna slide right in just like that. And whenever you want to, you can go ahead and either put it to the right or and put it to the left. It's not that hard to kind of get in here, but it does have a pretty strong spring, so I think it's a perfect little medium. If you were to look up, you can see the whole entire kit all done. So as you can see, it just sits on top of our frame rails here. We have 2 bolts on each side connecting it through the bed, through the bracket, and through our frame. And all the hardware is included, so let's go ahead and show you how we installed it. We're gonna start with step 1. You wanna look at the instructions, and it's gonna give you a measurement, and where you're gonna measure from is at the very end of the bed of the truck, so right here. So we're gonna take that. Whether you have a long bed or short bed, it's gonna be a little different measurement, so take that measurement, and then right where it is, we wanna take a 4-inch hole saw and cut that out. But what we have right now is a massive hole because we're actually replacing this old guy right here. So we're not gonna cut anything. It is a big hole, but it is what it is. But just take your measurements carefully, measure twice, cut once with a 4-inch hole saw. And it doesn't say this in the instructions, but it's always smart to get this center. So measure this and then mark the hole. And then we need to measure this way just to make sure we have it dead center. This is the size you need to check. Just take a tape measure, 4 inches, and we're gonna drill all the way through until you see daylight. I'm literally touching the rear end, so you can see right at the pumpkin of your differential. That's exactly what you need, so drill all the way through. Step 2 is we're going to loosen the passenger side truck bed bolts from our frame, and we're gonna completely remove the driver's side. You don't need a lift to do this, but we're gonna lift it up so we can show you a little bit better. Passenger side, driver's side. On the passenger side, we just want to loosen the bolts. So up on the front, these are kind of the easier ones to see. There's going to be 4. So we have 2 right here, 1, and they're still in there. There's a couple threads hanging on. And then 2 on the other side. And it will differ from truck to truck, but on this one we have another one that's really recessed in. We're not really going to be able to show you that well, but the other one's a little bit farther back behind the wheel. And then the last one is at the very, very far end. So you can kind of see, this is the exhaust pipe. So this little hole right here, that's where one of them lives. And then the other one is on the inside frame rail right about here, directly from your hitch. What I had to do is I actually had to take this little bolt out that's holding our hitch in to be able to get up there and get a tool in there. So there's 4, and then it's gonna be the same exact thing on the driver's side, but we're gonna fully remove those, but don't lose the bolts, put them in a safe place. You can get a jack to jack up the bed of the truck off the frame, but that's gonna be a massive jack. You can also you can use one of these. We use this in our hitch videos, but typically people don't have that. I don't have that at home. So hopefully you have a friend. Luckily I have a coworker. So what we're gonna do is he's gonna take these 4 little blocks of wood, it's about 4 inches, and we wanna make sure we keep the area where the gooseneck's clear. So right here, right above our rear leaf spring hangers, where we're gonna put it on that support, it's actually where one of our bolts with the little hole at the bottom, if you remember that, that's where that one goes in. So I'm gonna lift this up, he's gonna slide this in, and we wanna just get 4 inches. You good?
Drop it.
All right, just like that, friends help. This is only gonna be going in one way. This is wrong. So you wanna have it down like this, and we do wanna have the lever on the driver's side. So now what we wanna do is kind of slide this in. And some trucks are gonna have an issue with our fuel tank. This is a big boy, so it has a massive tank. So we might have to trim this up a little bit. We're gonna see if it fits. This would help, but we do have a friend, but just wiggle it on in there and see if we're gonna have to make any trimming. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll let you know how it goes. Well, let me tell you, it's gonna be a lot more easy for you who are working with just the 4-inch hole saw hole in the bed. For us, we don't really have that. So we really had to triple check, draw some lines, quadruple check. So be really, really careful, especially if you have this situation. But pretty much all you really wanna do is just line up that little hole around the ball, and it's gonna drop right into place with the hole saw hole that you drilled earlier. And now we are ready to take the blocks out, lower it down, and then we can reinstall the bed bolts. Now we're preparing to drill some holes. We want to be really careful with this, so get a good tape measure. One thing I did to start, it doesn't say it in the instructions, but I do want to mark the center on the square for our ball, just so we know where to measure from. So what we want to do is from the very, very center of our gooseneck plate, we want to look at our instructions and measure and mark a hole straight over. And once we get that marked out, we want to triple check. And then from that hole, we want to mark a hole 3 inches back from the hole and 3 inches forward from the hole. I already did it. We're going to do that on both sides. Here is our center right here, 3 inches over and 3 inches over for a total of 6 inches. So this is going to need to be in a line because this is going to ensure that we're in the center of the frame rail. So you can measure that just from the wheel well, and it's not that difficult. But once we have that all figured out, we want to grab some drill bits. We are only going to drill the outside 2 marks that we made. Grab a punch just so we don't have our drill bit walk on us. There you go, and there we go. We're going to start with a 1/4 inch drill bit. Get it lined up and drill through. I already went underneath and checked that there's no fuel lines or electrical lines or the fuel tank, so we are good to go there. Slow and steady wins the race. We don't want to dull out our drill bits. I usually apply a decent amount of pressure, low RPMs, and she cuts real good. We're gonna go all the way through the frame. Notice in our bed how we have a low part and a high part. Luckily, we're on the low part. If you are on the high part, it's not a big deal. We do wanna put a couple shims in there. You can use a couple washers or whatever it is, but we don't have to do that. But now that we drilled our 1/4 inch hole, we're gonna step it up to the 9/16 inch hole and do the same exact thing. Once we have the one hole completely drilled out all the way through the frame, we're going to do that for the remaining 3 holes. And then notice we have 2 different size carriage bolts. So you want to look underneath, and there's going to be one part of the gooseneck that's going to be a little bit raised off of the frame. For us, it's in the front. So that's where the long ones go, just like that. And then of course the shorter ones go in the back. That's going to be the same exact thing for the passenger side over here. And you do want these to kind of just go in there nice and easy. If not, just give it a little twist to make sure they're seated in there nice and easy. Now that we have this, we are going to put a washer, a lock washer in this nut on. We want to get it on there as tight as we can with our hands, really. And the plan here is, once we get it on there, a couple threads, we're going to go up top, hit it with a hammer to kind of seat the carriage bolt into the bed of the truck. And after that happens, we can go ahead and tighten this up. So now that I have them all pretty much tight, I have a 19 millimeter on the end. I'm going to show you on this side because the other side has a lot going on. That's an understatement. There's a tank over there and stuff. We need to torque this down to the spec in our instructions. There we go. And we'll do the rest the same way. Now we're going to do the pilot holes from the bottom for our safety chain hooks. And I'm using this tool because on the tank side, it's really, really tight, as you can see. So you're definitely going to need a tool like this to drill them through. Don't need anything big. We just need to make sure that we are going to be drilling from the top in the right spot. And we can do that for this one and the other 2 on the other side. This right here is a step bit. If you don't have a step bit, use a 1/2 inch drill bit. But I'm using this just because I want it to be a little bit bigger so they slide smooth. Once we kind of get it to where it needs to be, I like to sit here and kind of go in reverse. Just to make the hole a little bit bigger. We just want to make sure that these are going to be nice and smooth. That is what we want. So we're going to do that same thing on the other side. Before we proceed, bare metal does not like water, so you want to put a clear coat on there so it doesn't rust away. And you can pick this up at any store, any hardware store, anywhere you go for stuff for your house. You just give it a little bit of love. Insert these in, and let's go underneath. Now we want to go with the spring. We want it to look like a tornado. Big side up, big side up. Once we get that, we're going to take our nut and do your best to kind of, hopefully you guys can see it. And we're going to take the lock nut. And we're going to torque it down until we have 1/4 of an inch of the threads on this side of the nut. So we can do that for this one, and the other side. And you can also tighten these down with a 19 millimeter socket. And that'll do it for a look at the B&W Turnoverball Gooseneck trailer hitch on our 1993 Dodge Ram 250.